My ex-wife 37 and I, 31 male, were together for almost 6 years and had 2 daughters, kindergarten and 2 years older. She filed for divorce because she wasn't happy with me anymore, and we've now been divorced for almost 2 years. It was very difficult for me, especially not being able to see my daughters all the time. Still, we were able to arrange a 50-50 split custody agreement. I also pay court-ordered child support since I earn significantly more than her. But looking back, I realized that divorce was the right decision, and the divorce has motivated me to pursue my career more and focus on my physical health. It's definitely paid off. I'm in the most comfortable position financially that I've ever been, and have been in the best shape of my life, so I guess in a way the divorce was a start for me to reach my full potential. My ex-wife and I have a good co-parenting relationship, but nothing more. I've been doing great, so the last thing I want is to have my ex entangled in my life more than she already is. So I only communicate with her about the kids and shut down any attempt of her trying to involve herself in my life that doesn't involve our kids. My ex recently called me and told me that she hasn't been doing great financially and has completely burned through her savings to pay rent and bills on her own. She had to sell her car a few months ago. She said that she's been using public transportation to get to work and pick the kids up from school, which she says completely stresses her out because it's an almost 1-hour bus ride to her work, making her late a lot and having no time to properly do anything besides work and picking up and taking care of the kids when she has the kids. I currently own 2 cars, one that I use daily to go to work and run errands. I bought a more expensive car about a year ago, and I pretty much only use it when I go out on weekends or go on dates. Knowing that I have 2 cars, my ex asked me if she could use one of my cars to help her out, so that she could have a life besides work and kids. I told her that being able to have a life besides the kids has nothing to do with me and is not my responsibility. I told her that the kids are my only responsibility and that anything else in her life is her problem since I'm not her husband anymore. She told me I'm insensitive and that being terrible doesn't lead to anything. I just told her that the financial security I provide isn't something she has the right to anymore and that she has to deal with her own problems now. Am I the idiot? Edit. Everything our kids need is within walking distance of my ex's place. It's her job that requires her to take those hour-long bus rides. Not the idiot. She didn't say she needed the car to improve the kids' lives. She wants it so she can have a life besides work and kids. How does she plan to afford that? Any rebalancing of the finances should be handled formally in revising child support, not in lending her a car she could damage or destroy. You don't owe your ex use of your car. Your ex is responsible for her life and her choices. Your financial responsibility is to your children, not to your ex. Disagree. You are the idiot. Sometimes it's not about being an idiot or not, but the values you want to teach your children. It's not your legal responsibility to lend her a car or let her use a junker you buy and lend, and the overall context of your relationship with her is highly relevant. Is she a bad mom? Is she misspending child support? Will the kids miss out on events without a car? Will she take it as a green light to make more demands? But depending on your values and the values you want to instill in your children, helping their mother, whom they love when you don't really have to, would be an amazing life lesson and make you an even bigger hero in their eyes. That's what I'm thinking here. Her having a car or not directly influences their quality of life. My father still helps out my mom with logistical stuff a decade after the divorce, just like she will host family parties and invite him. They still help each other out and are happily divorced. That's where I'd hope to be with my ex until he closed my credit cards when I lay in hospice. Highly illegal, of course. Many people don't realize the liability of letting someone else use their vehicle. Not to mention car accidents, lawsuits, tolls, moving violations, wear and tear, insurance and maintenance. She's burned through her savings and sold her car. Something is going on here that he needs to get to the bottom of for his kids' sake. But buying her a car or lending his? Absolutely not. My 26 male sister, 23, has 4 kids in her care. 2 male kindergartners, a tween female, and a male toddler. All of them are her foster children. She got a job promotion recently and now has longer work hours. So after they leave preschool and elementary school, I've been picking them up. I get along with them fine, but I don't like kids in general. My family always asks me to look after the kids when they can't because I get to pick my own work hours. About a week ago, my sister wanted me to take her children to school because she had to work early and I refused. I didn't have much of a reason to, but I wanted to relax and not have to be around them. She got very upset and started crying because I wouldn't do her job as a guardian. I told her that she chose to foster those kids and she knew what she was getting into. My parents are also upset about my choice to stop valeting her kids around and have called me selfish. She says she's paying me by letting me live in her house, but I help with rent, so it doesn't count. Am I the idiot? Wait, so you mentioned you live in her home? How much in rent are you paying? It obviously does count to her for some reason. Why? Do you pay for the gas, electric, cable, grocery, etc., or just chip in a rent to her? And the bigger question is, why are you living with her, and for how long? Did she have any of those or previous foster kids before you moved in? And what rules or expectations did she have for you? It's not that important. I live with her because I don't make much money and she offered. It's a very short time anyways. I pay what I can. She should help me out because she has enough money to. I'm paying for my necessities and I help her with rent. My sister makes a ridiculous amount of money for her age. She can afford to help me out. It's unfair to say I'm making no money. I do make money, just not enough to afford my own place. Do you have something against people needing extra help with living situations? So, OP is 26 years old and mooching off his younger sister, paying rent when he can, which likely means nada. Can't help with the kids because he doesn't feel like it. Probably spends the majority of his time smoking weed and playing video games. Get a job where you can support yourself and move out. What an entitled, selfish loser. You are the idiot. OMG, he's actually freeloading off his sister. He's not much help money-wise, living in a home and can't be bothered to help her out either. Also, what kind of idiot moves into a house with 4 kids when they don't really like kids? That's like hating rain and moving to Colombia, the country with the most rainfall per year in the world. He's the 5th foster child. She also took in OP, he's living in her home and she's also helping him. Dude, no, you're not the idiot for not wanting to be around children. I get that 100%. However, you don't get to mooch off your sister, knowing she cares for a bunch of children, and then complain about being asked to actually do her a favour. You sound entitled and selfish, and that's why you are the idiot. I, a male teen, lost my dad 2 months ago. He had terminal cancer and passed away right when the doctors predicted, surrounded by friends and family, but it still hurts. He raised me all on his own after my mom walked out of our lives. He was my rock, my best friend, and now he's gone. After he passed, I was taken in by my Aunt Shelby and my Uncle Alan. They have 2 daughters, my cousins Leah, teen, and Macy, tween. Ever since I moved in with them, they pretty much left me to my own devices. That is, until last Saturday evening. Then, Alan came to talk to me and asked if I had anything nice to wear for tomorrow. I asked what he meant, and he told me it was about time I started acting like part of their family, and that I'd attend church with them the next day. In my head, I heard a record scratch. I'm not religious, and church makes me very uncomfortable. I've been before. I tried to talk my way around the issue, but eventually I just came out and said, I'd be happy to start spending more time with you guys, but I'm not religious, and I'm not comfortable going to church. Alan got quiet for a moment before awkwardly telling me that he'd have to talk to Shelby about it, and leaving me in my room. The next morning came and went, and I slept right through them getting up and leaving for church. I was up by the time they came back, and Shelby told me how disappointed she was in me for not accepting them as my new family. I didn't know what to say, so I went to my room without saying anything. So apparently my cousins have this after-school church thing they do on Wednesdays, and this morning Leah asked Shelby if she could skip it because I got to skip church. Shelby said no, and they got into a big fight, and now everyone is mad at me for causing this whole thing. I don't want to be a burden or cause any trouble, and I'm grateful to them for taking me in. Am I the idiot for not just sucking it up and going to church? Not the idiot at all. Religion isn't a bad thing, but neither is not believing in it. You, just like them, are entitled to your beliefs, and it doesn't make you any less of a family member to not partake. Stand your ground, you aren't doing anything wrong. I hope you're doing all right, friend. I don't like the "we are your new family" comments. They've always been your aunt and uncle. Just because they took you in doesn't mean they automatically become the new mom and dad. They cannot and should not be forcing their religion on you. Stand your ground. You are not causing the rift, they are. Ask them if religious freedom only applies to adults in your country. Honestly, they'd probably say yes with a straight face. OP, at your age, they kind of know they can't force it on you, which is why he went quiet and they tried to guilt you instead of grounding you. Apparently their other child doesn't want to go to church either, but didn't realise there was an option not to. Sometimes seeing someone else do it gives you the courage to stand up for yourself. You didn't do this intentionally, it's just a natural progression. Anyway, the parents are just going to alienate everyone if they keep pushing this issue. It isn't your fault. This same fight would have happened anyway after the kid moved out and the parents found out they stopped going to church. We don't live together for now, my choice due to space and finances and logistics. My boyfriend has 50-50 custody of his 2 sons, twins, nearly adult. They're very nice kids. I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years and his sons are great. My boyfriend can be really irresponsible with money sometimes. In September, he went back to school for his master's and in doing so had to give up a pretty lucrative job. He's been living off savings, which has now run out because he can't budget and has an expensive lifestyle. Example, he doesn't cook or even make a sandwich, so they eat only via DoorDash. He's been looking for another job he can do while he goes to school, but he hasn't found one. For months, I've asked him to please budget, conserve his money, and to ask his sister for a loan, but he keeps saying he will, but hasn't. Since his savings ran out, he's borrowed a bit of money from his aunt, but certainly not enough, so I've been helping him reluctantly. I don't make that much money, and I always stick to a budget, and this is really causing me stress. So, to the issue. I put some money on my credit card and told him he could use it to eat and to get to school, but that's all I have, and to please be careful with it and to figure out a plan B. His sister can loan him money, he just doesn't bother to ask her. For the past 6 weeks, on many occasions, when his boys are staying with him every other week, he has ordered them DoorDash. This triples how much it costs, and it's eating up the money very quickly. His ex-wife, the boy's mom, comes from money, a lot of money. She lives in a house worth several million and she has expensive cars. The boys each got a nice car for their 16th birthday. They have a trust fund worth $500,000 each that will kick in when they're 25. They will also have their college completely paid for. Neither has a part-time job, so neither of them has a cent to their names for now. So for the past 6 weeks, I've been pleading with him to have the boys talk to their mom, to explain that while they stay with their dad, he has no money or job right now, and he doesn't have a credit card. So they can't eat unless his poor broke girlfriend pays for it. And to ask A, if they can use her credit card, or B, if she can give them a loan that they can use for food, even to buy themselves groceries and cook something. Then I'll only have to pay for my boyfriend to eat, which is still difficult for me. He claims they asked and she said nope. Their mom is a nice person and usually pretty reasonable, so I find it bizarre that she'd actually say flat out no. So I suspect something is being lost in translation. I've asked my boyfriend to speak to her, and he won't. So this week, I cancelled my card, requested a new one with a new number, and when my boyfriend needs something, I will order it for him myself, but I have been refusing to buy the boys food. Am I the idiot? Edit, I know he's behind on rent, but he also knows I can't help him, so he doesn't ask. But I suspect he took a high-interest loan to pay some of it, and probably his mom gave him some as well. Not the idiot. It's completely reasonable for this nice woman to say no to giving any more money to this money bit of a man, and you should do the same. His priorities are a wreck. He's got 2 kids to support, yet he quit his job. Ridiculous. And you're enabling him with every penny you give him. He's got a whole family of women giving him money. You, his ex, his sister, mom, and aunt. You all need to stop. It's time for him to grow up. Damn, the dude is a professional parasite at this point. It's borderline impressive. That's 5 women giving this dude money. I really suggest you thank your lucky stars that you don't live with this man and take the opportunity to get away from him. He's a leech. Why did you give your boyfriend, who you know is bad at managing money, access? And he is at least a 40-year-old man who cannot make a sandwich? Seriously, just dump the jerk. You're not the idiot for being unable to afford luxuries like takeout for your boyfriend's kids, but you are an idiot to yourself for putting up with this man's nonsense. For goodness sake, stop enabling your boyfriend. Get him a loaf of bread and a massive jar of peanut butter. Then the boys can stay with their mum until he, boyfriend, grows up. I, 30 female, am currently 21 weeks pregnant. We just found out we're having a girl and my stepdaughter, Tween, is beyond excited at the news. We have 4 boys combined and she desperately wanted a sister. When we found out we were having a girl, she started crying tears of joy and was more excited than all of us combined, and it was truly heartwarming. She then goes to her room and she's in there for like hours. Every time we checked on her, she would push us out the door. Well, she came out later that night with her tablet in tow and demanded full attention. Valley Girl type, super fun and hilarious. She then proceeds to name off a bunch of names that she thinks we should name the baby. Now, we have absolutely no clue what we will name our baby, so at first, we were very receptive to her suggestions, but soon realised that this was just not helpful. Where we live, we have a lot of refugees, and my stepdaughter has befriended all of them. We have play dates with the families, and all of them are great, but their names are very, very hard to pronounce. All of her suggestions, except one, were the names of her friends. The other name she suggested was one of my husband's cousins' names. Names that not only can we not pronounce, but also kind of cultural names passed down through the generations of her friends' families. We told her we wouldn't be using a cultural name or generational name of her friend's family, and she looked upset at first, but then just went back to her room to do more brainstorming, I'm assuming. Then yesterday she came out with a list, and once again, it's more names that we cannot pronounce or names from kids at her school that she's not exactly friends with, but still fall into the criteria of what I would assume to be cultural names of other refugee kids. Some of them are beautiful names, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't fit with us personally. And not only that, but I'm not looking to offend anyone by using a name that isn't for us. Not sure how else to word that. So we told her again that we wouldn't be using these types of names. She got kind of angry, which was surprising, and said that we were judging her friends' names because we are white. That's not the case, but she was still angry no matter how I explained it. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. She's young, she's excited. Of course, you're not an idiot for not letting her name your kid, but complaining that the names were too foreign cultural names so you couldn't use them is not the way to handle this situation. You took her suggesting names way too seriously, and you really could have just let the excitement die down and told her you'll add them to the list. Yeah, how hard is it just to pretend you're entertaining her thoughts? This is just a situation I think you're overthinking. I would just entertain what she's saying and then name the baby what you want. I don't think anyone will call you an idiot for not letting a tween name the baby, but you probably don't have to get into these arguments with her about it. I disagree. OP, you're not the idiot. Use her input or ignore her input. Either is fine. But I sure wouldn't sit there and let her say, I'm judging her friends' names because we are white. Of course, you open that door by trying to logic your way out of a corner with a small child. Regardless, the grown-ups need to act like it to rein that crap in. Then don't be racist, which OP kind of is. She's assuming that all kids with cultural names are refugees and she's refusing to learn to pronounce them correctly. I see no problem with the kid calling out adults for awful assumptions, even if those assumptions aren't purposefully malicious.